Welcome, guys, to the DeVory Darkins show on this Friday. We are doing Rumble Premium, just so you guys know right up front, which means 30 minutes into this live show, we'll be streaming on Rumble, but shout out to my people on YouTube. At any rate, we're getting into Letitia James. We know she's in trouble. She knows she's in trouble, and that's why she just delivered a frantic speech live on air. You guys don't want to miss it. We'll show it to you. And I guess her lawyers are coming up with an interesting defense, which we'll dive into that as well. And then Canada is in that FAFO stage, right? So they decided to spend $75 million running anti-tariff advertising in the United States of America. Let's not even get into the ad itself. Just the fact that a foreign country can run ads in our country to influence politics is already a problem, right? Well, the president did have a reaction to that, and I'm sure you guys have heard about it by now. So we're going to talk about both of these stories in this video. So why don't we kick off with at least understanding what Letitia James did to start Friday morning. Let's take a look at that.
New York Attorney General Letitia James just pleaded not guilty in federal court in Norfolk, Virginia. It is her first court appearance on a 2-count bank fraud indictment tied to a 2020 home purchase. Prosecutors say Letitia James signed a second home rider agreeing the property would be for her personal use, which got her a better loan term. They say she then rented that house out to a family member instead of actually living in it. Expected to file now, she and her attorneys, a motion to dismiss the case, which she has called vindictive and selective prosecution. She's expected to speak at any moment outside court. We will take you there live. Remember, she ran on taking down Trump. That was her policy change that she was pitching. She is in the law, not necessarily a politician.
Right, exactly. Okay, so you guys heard the motion to dismiss. That's not the motion I'm actually referring to. We'll get to it here shortly. But just so you guys understand up front, I know it, you know it, your best friend knows it, your mom probably knows it. When you sign your name on that dotted line and it's telling you, are all statements on this paper true, you could be held, legally liable if we find out you're committing fraud or you're lying. Everybody knows that. And that's just across the board on anything, not just mortgage loans. That's on anything. And we as humans know when we're taking a risk, when we want to lie about something. So let's just be honest about it. The problem here is she got caught. And she got caught by an administration whose main objective is to hold people like her accountable. That's the difference here. This is not really about weaponization, as Democrats want to call it. It's about doing the right thing here. I told you guys repeatedly, only a monster would seek to prosecute a former president when he's living his personal life. Only a monster would go after the president's family and his business associates. A monster clearly has some skeletons in the closet. That's not an innocent person with a moral compass. They wouldn't do that. They'd be too smart, okay? Now, what she got on the end of this, I'm not too sure. Maybe more clout, because I understand she's part of the woke ideology. She's a black woman, right? And she's got to make a statement. So maybe that's why she did all this. Who knows? But I don't see it as a return on investment, in my opinion. She's going to go down in history as the only, attorney general. The only thing she ever did in her career was prosecute a former president. Wow, that is something to be proud about, right? Okay. Now, let's hear her frantic speech. Let's start with this one.
I want to thank you. But this is not about me. This is about all of us. And about a justice system which has been weaponized. A justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. This justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. And a weapon against those individuals who simply did their job and who stood up for the rule of law.
Yeah, that's right. Stood up for the rule of law. That's exactly what happened. Okay, sure. Listen, everything that we know Democrats accuse the president of doing or being is exactly who they have become themselves. That's just the fact of the matter to it, okay? Now, what I want to do right now is show you guys something interesting, right? And maybe you guys have already caught on to this at one point in time. But the people that she has living in her home, right, the one that's under investigation, right, that triggered all this, is obviously her family members. It says her grandniece, Kayla Thompson, 21 years old, who is an OnlyFans star with a public X-rated social media presence, was charged in April of 2024 with lying about her felony criminal record when she tried to buy a gun in Virginia, according to court documents. Kayla was legally disqualified from owning a firearm due to an August 2020 felony charge of malicious wounding, which Virginia law defines as a crime in which a person who shoots, stabs, cuts, or wounds any other person or by any means causes bodily injury with the intent to maim, disfigure, disable, or kill. So my name is Letitia James. I got a felon, violent grandniece living in my home that has been caught up in this mortgage fraud investigation because I made it my life's purpose to go after a president. Again, who prides themselves on a story like that? You know, everybody has to do a calculation in their lives at one point or time. There's just certain battles that I don't believe are worth fighting, in my opinion. This just isn't one of them, but this is the life she chose. There's no question about it. At any rate, here's a photo of her in case you guys are curious, okay? I mean, I think that tells you everything you need to know. Ghetto, ratchet, you got blue hair, of course. I mean, it's stereotypical. All right, let's continue to hear more of this frantic speech from James.
But my faith is strong. And my faith is, I have this belief in the justice system, in the rule of law, and I have a belief in America and all of its individuals who have stood with me, not only in New York, but all across this nation. I've heard from just about every jurisdiction in this nation who have said, stand up and be tall. And never, ever cow down or back down or break or bend.
Now, here we go.
So there's no fear today. No fear. No fear. No fear. No fear.
No fear.
Because I believe that justice will rain down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Preach.
That's what's happening now.
And I'm here to say that my work and my job and all that I do, all throughout my public career, I've stood up for the rights of New Yorkers and Americans, and I will not be deterred. And I will not be deterred.
Okay. I think we heard enough from her, right? Yeah, so guys, I don't have to tell you anything you don't already know. So we do have some reactions from people in Congress, particularly Chuck Schumer, who, you know, he's already in trouble. We know his problem. But here's what he had to say. We stand with Attorney General Tish James. This has nothing to do with justice. This is abuse of power. This is what tyranny looks like. Yeah, it's the same old talking points from them. We know that. And just in case you guys are curious, you know, for the racial social justice warriors out there, let's go down the list just in the last 1.5 years. The first black woman president of Harvard forced to resign due to plagiarism. The first black woman AG of New York has been indicted on mortgage fraud allegations, which that's exactly what happened. She committed mortgage fraud, okay? The plagiarism, she did commit plagiarism. There was no lying about this. I mean, it's black and white. The first black woman mayor of New Orleans, which the president should be sending the National Guard troops there next. I don't know what the holdup is, but that's a whole nother thing. She has 13 felony counts of indictment for fraud charges because she wants to pay her bodyguard, which also happens to be her intimate lover, by the way, with city funds. And he was never actually doing the job. Now, who does that sound like? Fonnie Willis, who also was, you know, slammed for corruption, right? First black woman as Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook investigated for mortgage fraud. So here's my thing, ladies and gentlemen. They say, you know, black women are not respected. Black women need to be given chances. Black women this and black women that. But it seems to me when we put these black women in charge, they're continuing to commit fraud. Why is that? And this is my rebuttal to the social justice warriors out there. That's why people shouldn't get elected by their skin color. They should get elected by their merit, right? I think that's fair to say. Now, some of you guys might be a little triggered by this, but hey, this is the brutal truth. How many more times are we going to continue to see Democrats particularly, and women here who happen to be black, committing crimes and fraud? How do you become the president of Harvard and commit plagiarism? How does that happen exactly? It's interesting, right? But you didn't hear mainstream media obsessing over that. They're obsessing over this case because they know it's legit. Okay. Oh yeah, let's not forget about this comment, by the way. But you have this black woman who's running to be the next governor of Virginia, and they just move right past her, right? Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. I just find that to be, you know, ironic from Democrats. Okay. All right, let's go to this motion that I was referring to, which is really their main defense at this point, and they're hoping this goes their way. Let's listen to this.
The most important thing that I heard from Fallon Gallagher, based on her being inside the courtroom, is that this judge, Jamal Walker, has decided that he is going to grant a request by James's attorneys to have her motion, essentially to disqualify Lindsay Halligan on the grounds that she was not lawfully appointed, consolidated with that of Jim Comey, who also brought a similar motion. And what is particularly striking is that the judges in each of their cases are not going to hear those motions. They are going to be referred to a federal appeals court, and specifically to the chief judge of the Fourth Circuit of the U.S. Court of Appeals, for assignment to someone outside the Eastern District of Virginia. And that's because the Eastern District of Virginia judges not only see people from the U.S. Attorney's Office day in and day out in the criminal and civil dockets that they handle, but also because the statutes at play have a role for the district judges to play. When there is a vacancy and someone fills it for 120 days, and that 120 days is up and there is no nominee that's been confirmed, the statutes then allow the district judges of any particular district to appoint you.
Yeah, okay. We heard enough from that as well. So basically, they're hoping to get Lindsay Halligan removed because they don't think she was, appointed in the right way. And the fact of the matter is it's going to an appeals court. And the interesting thing is that applies to not just Tish James' case, but also James Comey. So we don't have any other information besides that. And we really don't have any indication of how the appeals court will rule. But if we do take recent history, it seems like it's more likely that President Trump will win out on that. And even if he doesn't, let's say Lindsay Halligan is disqualified, it still doesn't mean the case is dead. And when MSDNC is admitting that, that just shows you how tight this case really is, okay? Now, before I show you that clip from MSNBC, let's hear this message from today's sponsor. All right, this is just crazy. Because you know what frustrates me the most? It's when these insurance accident. What am I talking about? Their pain, the time that they lost, the things that they're going through. These insurance companies don't care about that. They only care about their bottom line, which is why I want to make you guys aware of Morgan & Morgan. This is America's largest injury law firm, because they know when you're seriously hurt, that injury could be worth millions, and they're not going to settle for these lowball offers. And if you're results driven like me, pay attention to these numbers. They got a verdict out of Philadelphia for $26 million. That is 40 times higher than the insurance company. Out of Florida, they got one for $12 million. And then out of New York, $6.8 million, which is 25 times higher. You guys following what I'm saying here? You see, if you've ever been injured, don't overthink this. Protect your rights today. It only takes you a few minutes to see if you have a case, and you could do it all from your phone. And guess what? It doesn't cost you a thing. There's no upfront fees, any of that, unless they're able to get you results, including a win for your case. So did you know that you could start a claim with America's largest injury law firm in just a click by going to forthepeople.com/DeVory? That is forthepeople.com/DeVory, or click the link in the description below.
Ken, let's follow up with this idea about one of the possible defenses here, that Lindsay Halligan was improperly appointed. It's very similar to what James Comey is doing in his case. Comey, of course, also mentioned by Trump as a target for retribution. Tell us more about that strategy, and what do legal experts say? Do they assess it could be a good one?
They do, Jonathan. Actually, that's interesting. Conservative and liberal legal scholars seem to agree that this is a valid way to attack this case because it has to do with the appointments clause of the U.S. Constitution, and it's something that Donald Trump and his team have been doing across the board. They can't get some of these people confirmed by the Senate through the normal course of business. U.S. attorneys have to be confirmed by the Senate, so they're installing interim, in this case, U.S. attorneys. Well, those people are only supposed to serve 120 days. There already was an interim U.S. attorney in this district who served 120 days. Remember, he was fired because he didn't want to bring this case. So now Lindsay Halligan is here, and the argument is that you can't start the clock again, that she's not properly situated as the U.S. attorney. And judges have been sympathetic to that argument in other jurisdictions. And so a lot of people believe that that could succeed here. Now, I have said in the past that could doom the case, but there's a new legal analysis that we've been made aware of that actually prosecutors, even if she's knocked out as U.S. attorney, they would get another chance to file this case. So it may not be fatal to the case, but it certainly would set it back, John.
Yeah. Okay. So that's MSNBC acknowledging that this case is not going to go anywhere. That makes sense. Just because if this appeals court rules in their favor and does exactly what they want them to do. So I think that kind of tells you exactly the merits of the case, just to start off with. Okay. And I have to keep saying it, guys. If you're going to go after a former president at the time and his family, why do people act shocked that he's doing this? Why do people act shocked that this is happening? Now, the only part that I'm more concerned about, I'm sure you guys agree with me, is I want to see convictions. Okay, that's number one. And where is Adam Schiff at? I mean, if how about this? Why don't we play a little game here? If there is one person you would want to see convicted, who would it be? But it could only be one person. I know it's a long list, right? But tell me, if you had one choice, we got Adam Schiff, we got James Comey, Brennan, we've got Clapper, we've got, here we go, Letitia James, Fani Willis. I mean, who else, right? Nancy Pelosi, put her on the list too. Why don't we put Brandon Johnson on that list too, right? Because we know he's the devil. Put your answers in the chat. Who would you want to see if you had to convict one person? Who would that one person be? All right. Now, speaking of that, I'm going to go to the chats and see what people have to say today and check in with you guys. Shout out to my people on Rumble. Thank you guys for checking us out today. We'll be answering your questions when we go Rumble Premium in 13 minutes. So if you guys do have questions you want me to answer directly, just put them in the chat there. Oh, that's an interesting name, Obama. That's what people want to see. We got a couple of shifts here or there, but no, Obama's at the top of the list. Okay, let's go through it again. I'm gonna type it out for you guys. So Obama, you got James, you got Schiff, you got Brennan, you've got Willis. You've got Pelosi. Who else? I feel like I'm missing somebody. You got James, Schiff. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Comey. There we go. What's the last name of Christopher Wray. He was the FBI director under that assassination attempt. Let's see here. Who else? Oh, yeah, Hillary. Let's put her on the list. Oh, yeah, that's right. Fauci. I forgot about him. It's shocking he hasn't been indicted yet. And then the last person to put is Hunter. How about that? Okay, there you go. There is the list. And then we'll put this over on YouTube and see what you guys have to say about it. Okay, let me keep reading this on Rumble and then we'll compare. So I see a lot of Obama and Fauci's are like the top, and then Hillary is, it seems like to me. Yeah, Obama, Clinton, Fauci, top three. Yeah. Someone put Newsom. Yeah, I mean, if you're in California, you would love to see that happen, no question. All right, let's go to YouTube, see what you guys are saying. AOC. What did AOC do besides say stupid things? Jack Smith, that's right. Yeah. Soros, there we go. Yeah, he's the top of the top, right? Christopher R6, a lot of black people are in jail. Should you be in jail? I don't know. Should I be in jail, Christopher? I don't know where you're getting with that. Let's see here. Catherine, 1982. Is there a way to send you some info, email, pigeon? Yeah, we have a business email, truth@DeVoryDarkins.com. Yeah, I'm seeing Soros and Bill Gates. No, I'm not drawing up no note. I'm just asking questions. Doesn't that sound familiar? I just want to know what people think. I'm not inciting any violence. I'm just asking. Okay, let's see here. Gary, come on, man. What are you guys doing over here? All right. At any rate, Netanyahu. I knew we would have at least one of those. Yeah, there's a lot of them in here. Okay. Yeah, I'm still seeing the same on YouTube, which is Obama, Soros, actually, and Fauci seems to be most of the list here. Listed as white or Caucasian. So what does he mean? Yeah, I don't know what he means. Brain rot is probably what's happening with him. Jasmine Crockett. Yeah. All right. I think we're done having a little fun, right? I think you guys get exactly what I'm putting down here. But anyways, the point is like when it comes to there's just a few issues here. If we just go back to me right here. There we go. Yeah, there's just a few issues with me in regards to all of this is like, okay, there's the racial stuff, which is black people. We can't have it both ways. You say we should be in positions of power. And again, I don't believe in all of this, okay? I don't believe black people are less than anybody else. I don't think we need to be handed anything, but that's just me, okay? But at any rate, they say that, black people need to be in positions of power. We don't own anything, this and that. We need DEI, we need to be included. We need to be represented. That's the R word that they use. But then when we get represented, who's representing us exactly? Al Sharpton, who's a snitch, a CIA informant? Letitia James, who clearly committed fraud, and her grandniece is nothing to write home about. An OnlyFans felony criminal, okay? Then you had the mayor of New Orleans, which is a historic city, by the way. Why does she have 13 felony counts for paying her lover with city funds and then refuses to pay back those funds, by the way? That's a whole nother thing. I mean, what's going on? And then let's say I give all those people a pass. Let's say I give all those people a pass. How do you give the former president of Harvard a pass for plagiarism? Isn't that the biggest crime of all in the institution of education? I mean, again, so you want us to be represented, and this is some people in the black community, but I don't think we're being represented by our best and brightest. That makes sense. We are being represented by people who don't have a problem committing crimes. Or just maybe, if you get up to those levels, maybe everybody commits crime. I don't know. But I think you guys understand where I'm going. That's the first thing with the whole racial stuff for the Democrats out there. But on merit, just on strict merit alone, yeah, you saw how frantic she was. She's scared, and she should be. And the fact that you go after a former president tells me you got some screws loose. You have some screws loose. I wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. You couldn't pay me to go after Hunter Biden right now. I'd like to see him held accountable, yes, but I will never dedicate my life to trying to prosecute a president's son or the president. I'm not stupid. These people have connections. They don't even have to publicly go after you. Just by association, people who know them will come after you. So you just have to pick your battles. And I think that's what makes president so special is because he's willing to do it, and he's doing it all. And they deserve it, no question. All right. Let's move on from that nonsense and go to something more interesting. And this is in regards to the Canada, or the Canadian government, paying $75 million to run anti-tariff ads against the president, obviously, inside of the United States of America. So before we get into the ad, which they were using Ronald Reagan's clip about tariffs, I want you to think about this and just answer the question in the chat, and then we'll read it when we switch over to Rumble Premium. So here's the question, which is, should a foreign country be allowed to run advertising that is trying to influence our political landscape here in our country? Because that means they could do it during the election, right? I mean, because it's a slippery slope. So should they be allowed to do that when it's not election? So like what they're doing now. Let me know what you guys think about that in the chat. Okay, let's go ahead and play this ad that Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, ran, and he paid $75 million to do it.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
Okay, let's just address a couple of things before we even get into Canada. So according to Ronald Reagan, he said that putting tariff barriers or trade barriers will lead to people losing millions of jobs, okay, shrinking markets, okay, and there was one more thing here. Where's it at? Okay, at any rate, here's my point. Here it is. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Now, if he was alive today, my rebuttal to that president would be, hasn't that already happened? Except the markets, of course, but hasn't that already happened? In the 90s, we lost millions of jobs due to that trade agreement under Clinton and Congress. How many jobs evaporated because of what they did? They basically sold out the working class for more money. That's what happened. So why do I say that? I say it because back then in 87, it makes sense what he was saying back then. Think about where China was back in 1987 versus where China is today. It's an entirely different country as far as trade is concerned, and their influence on other countries in the world and the supply chain, it's night and day. So here's what I propose before we get to what Mark Carney had to say. Just so you guys know, it's not just an opinion. If they ever ask my small opinion, what would I do? I would say I would take a three-pronged approach. I would have trade barriers, meaning I would have tariffs to protect certain industries. I would also have reciprocal tariffs at a minimum. That's just the foundation, just automatically. And then we would have something called managed trade, meaning we can do a little free trade, but it's got to be in the bounds of what makes sense, meaning maybe we do have a little tariffs. Maybe we do at least look at who you're employing. Maybe we do kind of, look at the quality of what you are producing, because the whole premise of fair trade, in case you guys don't know this, it's to truly capitalize on what makes each country great based on their resources. Okay, so think about the things that Canada or China or even Russia can produce that we can't in our own country. And think about the things that we can produce here that other countries can't. So in theory, free trade makes sense. We put all of our things that make us strong together and we freely trade between each other. Makes total sense. The problem is you can't control the quality of anything. So when China is allowed to do that and they send cheap products, then what? I'm just using that as an example. So that's why I say it should be managed trade. Maybe we could do a little free trade, but it's got to be managed, okay? And so we do those three things. Now, you guys want to know the funny thing about this entire rant? That's exactly what the president is doing right now. He's got tariffs that are super high on certain countries. He's got these tariffs that match what other countries are putting on us. And then he's working out separate agreements. Now, if we remove the emotion out of it and the TDS, it all makes sense. It'll take some time, but it makes sense. But if you have TDS, no. And Canada, obviously, they still have their panties in a bunch, and they feel truly disrespected by the president. So they're going to dig in on this. And here's an example of that. Let's play Mark Carney and his response.
All right. Good morning. Look, for months we have stressed the importance of distinguishing things we can control and things we can't control. We can't control the trade policy of the United States. We recognize that that policy has fundamentally changed from the policy in the 1980s, 1990s, 2000s. And it's a situation where the United States has tariffs against every one of their trading partners to different degrees. And it's in that context that our officials, my colleagues, have been working with their American colleagues on detailed, constructive negotiations, discussions on specific transactions, specific sectors, steel, aluminum, and energy. And a lot of progress has been made. And we stand ready to pick up on that progress and build on that progress when the Americans are ready to have those discussions, because it will be for the benefit of workers in the United States, workers in Canada, and families in both of our
stop running
countries.
ads.
Now, what we can control, absolutely, is how we build here at home. And that's the focus of Budget 2025, generational investment here in Canada. And what we can also control, or at least heavily influence, is developing new partnerships and opportunities, including with the economic giants of Asia, which is the focus of this trip.
Okay. All right. So you guys heard it from him. He's not reacting whatsoever. It's a non-answer from him, and that's just unfortunate. Okay, what we're going to do right now is switch over to Rumble Premium. So my folks on YouTube, join us on Rumble Premium. Okay, the link is below this video. Just click on the Rumble link there and join us because we're going to dive into what Doug Ford had to say, because they did get a clip of his response to it all. Much more, and then I'll be answering questions directly. If you're not going to join us, hey, thank you for joining us here on YouTube, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Bringing you guys common sense commentary for these uncommon times. We are still going to be uploading our 2 updates every single day as usual. So even if you miss out on a live stream, you could still catch us later in the day. All right, so let's see if we have that here. Yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on with Canada, but they are definitely tripping out. Okay.